Hello, everybody. Good morning. It's Friday, so that's always a good thing, right? I'm in New York. I'm on Long Island, and I hear the rain is coming. It actually looks like it is going to rain. The sun was out this morning, and now it's gone. When you join me, or if you're watching the replay, let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see where you guys are at. So today we're going to be talking about diets. And you may be surprised that I'm not exactly defending diets, but I'm not talking against them as much as I normally do. So it doesn't mean that I've changed my opinion on diets. I don't, diets, any kind of overly strict way of doing something, I'm not a fan. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why I'm not a fan of that today. But I also want you to be really real with yourself. And if you are somebody who's tried different diets before and have said these words or thought these words, like that diet made me feel deprived, or anything else, that diet made me angry, that, if you've said those things before, that diet made me feel, we're going to talk about that today because that's just not true. Diets cannot make you feel a certain way, okay? So here's the thing. A diet is just a set way of eating, okay? Some are a lot more healthier than others, right? Some, like, I'm thinking of a Whole30 or something that really has you clean up the way that you're eating and you're focusing on real whole foods and you can eat in a balanced way. And those things, there's nothing wrong with that way of eating. What happens, I think, a lot of times is that people make that big step and then they start to feel like it was too much all at once, okay? So, hey, Danielle, thanks for joining. So other diets, of course, are really restrictive and just not healthy. If you're eating tons of powdered foods all the time as meal replacements, or if you're eliminating entire categories of food, in my opinion, and the research I've done, any diet that's going to restrict the amount of vegetables that you can eat is not going to be a healthy one because of what we know about the power of plants and, vegetables in particular. So anyway, there's various diets that we can go on. But let's just pretend that we're picking something that's healthy. And you have said that you feel like it's restrictive to you or that you feel deprived on it, okay? I want to invite you to consider the fact that diets cannot make us feel a certain thing. Hi, Denise. Thanks for joining. Just like a person can't make us feel a certain thing, or a situation that you've got going on can't make us feel a certain thing either. Hi, Cassandra. Thank you for joining. Okay, so I've talked about this. It's called a STEER cycle before. Just a cute little acronym I gave it. But STEER, not STEER, but STEAR. If somebody can type that in the comments, STEAR, that would be helpful. STEER cycle refers to basically anything that happens in our life. We can, it's this cycle that takes us through, and we can sort of see where the things that are showing up in our life are originating, okay? So I don't think I can type in this thing. Can you guys write? Thank you, Denise, thank you. She wrote it, STEER. Okay, thank you, Cassandra, exactly. Okay, I'm sure there's probably a way that I can comment while I'm talking, but I don't see it. Okay, so STEER cycle is this. S is situation. So situation is just the matter-of-fact things. These are often things that are out of control. So this could be the parents that you were born to, or a diagnosis you had at birth, or trauma that you've been through in the past. That is just, circumstances, situations that are, okay, that are out of our control. But situations can also be things that are in our control, but it's just that this is where you're at right now. So situation is just, here's where I'm at. This can also be, I weigh 300 pounds. It's just the situation. That's where we are right now, and that's just the matter of fact, right? It's not a positive or a negative yet. So what happens then is you've got that situation. Let's move on to the T. The T is thought. So now you have a thought about that situation. So the thought, that's when we usually put a positive or negative spin on it. So the thought, let's say it's I weigh 300 pounds. The thought can be, but I should weigh less. Or let's say you went through a lot of trauma in your life. The thought could be, poor me, I'm a victim, this always happens, right? So we put some sort of a thought on the situation. The situation was fine by itself, it just was, right? And then we put the thought on it. From that thought, we get an emotion. That's the E. So now this emotion is going to be based on your thought. It's going to be a positive or negative emotion. So if your thought was, I weigh 300 pounds and I shouldn't weigh 300 pounds, the emotion could be that you feel ashamed. Or the emotion could be that you feel you've given up hope or something like that, right? And from that place, that emotion, it leads us to A, which is action. This could also be inaction, but action or inaction. So from that place of feeling ashamed, what kind of a thing do you think that you're going to make? Like, what kind of choices, what kind of actions do you think you're going to take? You're either going to do nothing, so that's inaction, or you might sabotage yourself further because you're feeling, let's say, ashamed, or you've lost hope, okay? Whatever action you take is not going to be something that's going to propel you forward if you're coming from a place of a negative emotion because you've had this negative thought about your situation. So you see how it all comes together? And then, of course, based on the actions you take or the actions that you don't take, that's the result that comes along, okay? So the results can be brought all the way back up to your thoughts, not the situation. A lot of times people just want to skip from the S to the R. You've got a situation, so therefore you've got a result. I'm 300 pounds now, so therefore I'm just going to stay that way. I have a thyroid condition, so therefore I'll never be able to lose this weight. I've got all this trauma in my life, so I'm just destined to be miserable. And we don't think about all that middle work that needs to be done. And when we really bring it all the way back, it comes back to our thoughts that we have about the situation. There's always ways to reframe things. You know, that's reframing is like a whole other topic. I'm not going to get into that today. But the whole idea, when you think about this, is that you take back control over the results that show up in your life, because you do have control over your thoughts. It takes work, it takes practice, and it takes effort, of course, up front, but you have control over the thoughts that you're thinking, so you can change things around. Hey, Allie, thanks for joining. So let's go back to how this relates then to diets. A diet made me feel deprived, okay? Somebody was just telling me this yesterday on the phone. She was like, I didn't like this diet, it made me feel deprived. Diets cannot make you feel deprived. What diets can do, though, is, and let's say again that you're following something that's healthy, okay? You're following something that's healthy, so it's giving you a set of rules, let's just say, and you went into work and they had donuts there and you couldn't eat the donuts because you were on this diet, and then you felt deprived. And then you might have felt angry, and maybe you had a worse day at work. And what's actually happening there is that you're probably using food to cope with something. You've probably overeaten before, and we've all done it, okay? This is just a matter of if you're doing it more, that it's showing up in your results, and it's a result that you're not liking, okay? So if you're overeating, you're using food for something other than fuel, then when you're on this diet, and it basically takes away your only tool that you have to deal with your emotions, then things are gonna come up. So real things are gonna come up, and you're gonna feel deprived because you've never had to feel what it was like to not partake in whatever anybody else is doing. Okay, and you might feel angry, or you might have a worse day at work because the truth is going to come out. So if you're in a job that you hate and then you take away your ability to overeat throughout your day, you're going to hate your job even more. It doesn't mean that it was the food's fault. It just means that when you remove that tool, and especially if you don't place other coping skills in there in place of it, then now you're just left to feel what real feelings are going to come up. This is just what's real for you. The same thing with relationships. If you're used to coming home at night and you and your significant other just like eat your way through the rest of the evening, when you remove that, like that person might start to get on your nerves. And it doesn't mean that they weren't doing those things before. It just means that you were kind of numbing it and blinding yourself to it by having this other coping mechanism, which was the food. So once you remove the overeating as a tool, which is what you need to do if you want to get to your goals, you start to feel these things. And that's okay, because you can put other coping skills in place that are healthier. And B, it's okay to feel the real feelings of our life, right? Like, it's not, people will say, like, life is too short, I just want to eat whatever I want for the rest of my life. And I feel like life is too short to not feel the feelings that are true for you, the things that are real for you. If you're in a job that you hate, it's okay to feel like you hate that job that you're in. Maybe you can change it. Maybe you can move to a different department. I don't know, but it's okay to feel the real feelings. That's how I feel. The other thing that I find so interesting is that we often have to explain to people, like, the societal pressures and norms are to explain to people why we're not overeating. But it doesn't happen the other way around. So if you are somebody who always, eats that donut when they come into work, and then one day you say, no, thanks, I'm good, I don't need it, you might get people saying, well, why not? Just have one. Oh, come on, you only live once, and all of these comments, right? You basically have to explain to people why you're choosing to not overeat, why you're choosing to do something that's healthier for yourself. But we would never, ever do it the other way around. Could you imagine you go in and you see somebody having 2 donuts, 3 donuts? You'd never be like, why are you overeating? Why are you choosing to have all of that junk? We would never do. I'm sure there's probably people that do that. But most of us are not preachy like that, and we would never do that. So we live in a society that's already a little bit stacked against us in this department, where people want you to explain why you're not overeating or drinking. Oh, just have that glass of wine. Just the pressure is there to fit in and to do those things that aren't necessarily great for us. But there's no pressure when you're doing too much of it anyway. Allie says truth. Yes, it's so crazy, right? Isn't it crazy? Sometimes we're just so used to these things that they don't even register as being so bizarre. But when we stop and think about it, it is. So there's so much to overeating. There's these societal pressures, there's us covering up the feelings, there's the fact that we don't want to feel deprived and all of that. But the main takeaway that I want to give you today is that a diet is not the reason that you're feeling deprived or angry or anything else. I'm not saying to go and, try some new fad diet or anything else. I'm really not. I believe in a more sustainable lifestyle type of way of eating. But I am saying that just check yourself. When you're thinking of these excuses, when you want to blame something for the way you're feeling, just know that you actually have a lot more control, which, by the way, I find incredibly empowering. As a control freak myself, I find it very empowering to figure out, like, okay, this is something that I have no control over. Let it go. Okay, working on that. I'm trying to work on that. But it's very empowering also to say that things that maybe you think that are out of your control, you actually do have control about. We do have control about the way that we think about things, okay? We do have control over our health when a lot of people just say it's genetics. And we have so much control over our genetics because the environmental things that we put on our genes can turn on or off certain switches for diseases. It's incredible. But the more we're learning, the more we're realizing that we do have control over this stuff. People will say, but I'm just big boned. If you have nice thick bones, that's incredible because you have less chance of getting osteoporosis in the future. But it doesn't mean then that you need to also be carrying around excess body fat that you don't want to have. Okay, again, this is not about me. I never say you need to lose excess body fat. This is about when people come to me and they tell me, Tara, I want to lose excess body fat. And I think if that's what you want, then you should be able to do that. And that's why I'm here to help you with that. So we're starting a new program soon, Transform Body and Mind. This is a 6-week group coaching program for women that are looking to lose body fat in a healthy and sustainable way. All right, so this is not a diet. It's not a diet, but it does come with a nutrition protocol. Because here's the thing, I wanted you to be able to get results from the beginning. If you took the entire course and we do all this deep mindset stuff like we're doing today, but more and deeper, and then it took us all the way till the end of the 6 weeks and you just started seeing your results at the end of the 6 weeks, I don't want to lose you. So what I want you to come on. I want to help guide you right from the beginning. You're going to get a nutrition protocol to follow. You're going to be starting to feel better, starting to see results. And at the same time, we're going to be diving deep into this mindset stuff so that by the time you finish the 6 weeks, you are ready to keep this up. You are ready to go out into the real world, and you're ready to to sustain your results, right? So if you either still have more body fat or weight that you want to lose after 6 weeks, you can keep going with that. Or if you're happy with where you're at the end of the 6 weeks, you know how to sustain that, because it's not just about the food that you eat. It's really about the ways that we're thinking. If it was just about the foods that we're eating, then as soon as you would learn something about nutrition, you would be able to stick with it. And we know that that's not the case, right? This is not, I just had a post just before this, I made a post about, Tara, I know what I need to be doing, but I'm just not able to do it consistently. And this is what I find to be the case most often from people. This is what people are telling me. There are those like few little unicorns that once they learn something about nutrition, they run with it, they get their massive results, and they're good. Okay? These are people that really just didn't know any better. And so when you showed them the back of a label like, oh, hey, the yogurt you eat every day with your lunch has 20 grams of sugar. Oh, shoot, I didn't realize, blah, blah, whatever, right? And you're showing them these little things, and they change them, and they're fine, and they lose their weight, and they're good, and they keep it off. That's very, very, very rare, okay? That's a very small percentage of people. Most people, while there's still nutrition information to be learning, of course, and there's always new research coming out, most people, it's really about the mindset stuff. Because if you know what to do, think about even one thing right now that you can be doing. I could give up that soda that I drink every day. I could turn my sandwich on, huge 6-inch loaf of bread into a salad every day or whatever. There's something that you know right now for sure that you know you could be doing, but you're not doing it. And that's normal. That's common. And the reason is because you haven't worked on the mindset stuff. Once you get that under control and you start to believe in yourself and you start to trust yourself and you start to learn how your thought processes work and how one thing is connected to the other, you're on fire and nothing can stop you then. So that's the stuff that we're going to be really diving deep into. It's the stuff that people aren't doing. This is stuff that doesn't come along with diets, right? You get a book or you get a website or whatever, and you've got like rules to follow, and that's it. And you're not really getting to the core of the problem. So I'm excited. There's a bunch of awesome ladies already in the group, and I just can't wait to see their transformation. It's not just going to be about seeing their transformation. Where this is not like, before and after pictures or anything like that. This is real, true, deep, meaningful work that we're going to be doing together, and I just can't wait to see how great they feel as we progress and at the end of the program. If you're interested in joining, I'm going to post a link in the comments so you can join us too. The cart will be open for this program for another week. It'll be closing next Friday because then we will be starting. I'm going to be sending out the link for the private Facebook group to those ladies next weekend. That is not my regular Facebook group. There's going to be a Facebook group just for people doing this program so that we've got each other, we've got the accountability and the community. So I'm going to be sending out that link over the weekend, so that's why I've got to close the cart next Friday. You've got one more week. Jump on in and join us if this sounds like what you need, okay? If it sounds like, if you know what you're doing already, or you know what you need to be doing already and you're just not doing it consistently and you're not sure why and you're mad at yourself and you feel deprived when you try other diets, this is why. So jump on in. We'd love to have you, and we're going to do some awesome work together, so get ready. All right? I hope you guys have an awesome Friday, and remember the steer cycle, okay? So if you take away nothing else from this video, remember your situation leads to a thought. Your thought leads to an emotion. That emotion determines whether you take an action, what action you take, or if you just take no action at all. And that action is what leads to the result, whatever result you end up with. All right? It's a whole big cycle. You can play this game with everything in your life. Every relationship, every decision you make, it all comes down to this one cycle. All right? See you guys in the next video. Bye.